Hello, everybody. I'm Don Shane, standing here in the tunnel where the Michigan team's going to walk out on the field here at Beaver Stadium. In about 4 hours from now, this place will be packed, jam-packed and rocking. 95,000 going to be in here for a huge football game, not only in the Big Ten, but in the college football season. And the people around here on this campus, in this town, in this valley, are calling it the biggest game ever. It's the first time two top 5 rated teams have played here in 17 years, and Penn State lost to Pitt in that game. Take a look at the scene at this stadium last night. Rain coming down. Lloyd Carr didn't care. His players didn't care. His team came out onto the stadium to get a look around and get a feel for the place as they get ready for today's game. The loser today can just about forget about winning the Big Ten title, but neither team is thinking about that. And Michigan coach Lloyd Carr says he knows exactly why his team is in this terrific position today.
There's nobody complaining because they aren't getting to carry the ball a certain number of times or getting them a certain amount of yardage. The receivers aren't complaining because they're not getting as many balls as it takes to be an All-American. Defensively, we don't have guys worrying about who's getting the most tackles, who's got the most sacks. I think that attitude has really made it a fun group to coach.
We're a family, and I think that really says a lot about Coach Carr's character. It's not about the ability of winning or losing. Of course, that counts, but it's the ability to be able to count on each other, to know that every guy is accountable for his efforts, to know that each and every guy is going to go out there and play his heart out for his teammates. It's not about individual statistics and stuff like that. It's just about going out and playing for the guy next to you.
I can't even begin to express how excited and how happy I am with how things have gone. But at the same time, you know, the script isn't finished yet, and we've got 3 more weeks that we need to take care of and to finish that dream story.
And if they wish to enter a Rose Bowl chapter into this season's yearbook, Brian Griese must continue to play mistake-free football.
Brian Griese is exactly the kind of guy that you want running your team. The issue of the quarterback is, does he get you to the end zone? Does he lead your team to victory? And that's, I don't think anybody could have done a better job than Brian has done.
And certainly if Brian Griese doesn't make mistakes, Michigan has a terrific shot at winning this game because of their defense. Now, the best individual player in this game is not Curtis Enis, although he's a terrific running back and will get a lot of Heisman Trophy votes, but rather Charles Woodson of Michigan. In fact, earlier this week, Joe Paterno called Woodson maybe the best college player ever. I don't know about that. I don't know if he's pumping him up, but I do know this. Charles is having an awful lot of fun playing football this year.
I'm enjoying it, every minute of it. Like I say, when you 8-0, it makes everything that much easier. So, I mean, to have the type of season that we're having right now, I mean, all you want is for your team to go all the way. We're going to make our best attempt at making it to the Rose Bowl, and hopefully we get there.
Charles also admits thinking about winning a national championship with some of his teammates, despite warnings from the coaching staff.
We have a good shot at doing something real special with this season. We have a chance to go to the Rose Bowl, but we can get these last 3 victories. We know if we go to the Rose Bowl and win the Rose Bowl, then, I mean, there's a good shot that we can win a national championship. So players talk about it all the time because, I mean, it's there.
Woodson saw action in a career-high 70 plays against the Gophers Saturday and said this when asked if he's the best player in the nation.
Yeah, I do. I do think I'm the best player in the country. I won't hold back, boy. Yeah, I feel I'm the best player in the country. I mean, I try to do so many different things for our team and just try to make things happen. I mean, it's just worked out. And I'm just having fun out there and best player in the country, standing before you.
I got to tell you, I see absolutely nothing wrong with that, but he may have to back that up on the field today. And you know the Penn State players have heard about it, read about it, seen it, everything, and they might want to prove a little something to Woodson. Now, Dave Llewellyn was on the campus here earlier this week. He talked to the Penn State players and Joe Paterno about today's game.
It's a marquee matchup, worthy of all the pregame hype. The Nittany Lions and Wolverines are both unbeaten. The winner today may well wind up in Pasadena on New Year's Day.
This is the roadblock that stands in our way. And I think, you know, when you look at our schedule, we do have a couple big games after this game, but, you know, first and foremost is Michigan. And, you know, out of those 4 teams that we have left, probably Michigan is probably, you know, the best all-around football team.
McQuarrie will face a Michigan defense that has stymied opponents all season. Joe Paterno is impressed. He ranks the Wolverines among the best units his teams have faced over the years. And Paterno singled out Charles Woodson for special praise.
He's a very phenomenal athlete, and the people who have played against him have said that he may be as good as anybody's ever played the game in college. And you know, that may be true. I think if he isn't, he's very close to it. He's a great athlete.
Paterno needs just 4 more wins to reach 300 for his great career. His teams are 3-1 against Michigan since Penn State joined the Big Ten. The Nittany Lions won impressively in Ann Arbor a year ago, but Paterno says he doesn't have a good feel for the battle that will take place on this field today.
And I think this is a fun week for everybody connected with college football. I know I'm excited about it. I'm excited about playing a club like Michigan and playing them at this time of the year when we're having a good year and they're having a good year, and see what happens. But I don't know whether we're going to be ready or not.
The Nittany Lions made numerous mistakes in their previous 2 games. They barely beat Minnesota, and then last week held off Northwestern in the 4th quarter after building a big lead. Penn State won its other big game this season, 31-27 over Ohio State.
And it's Enos. And he's gone.
You played Ohio State, but is this Michigan team the best team you'll have played so far this season?
I think so. You know, Michigan is an outstanding team. Ohio State's a good team too, and I think they can play with anyone in the country. But I think you know, Michigan obviously sticks out as a premier team in the country, and you know, that we're really presented with a much greater challenge, I think, than we were with Ohio State to really go in there and play you know, our kind of football and put some points up against that defense.
During our visit to campus early in the week, students were already talking about the game. The Penn State players are pumped as well.
There's a lot of buzz about the game. You can just feel it. I mean, you can tell that people are really looking forward to it, and it's going to be the type of big-time Big Ten game that you look forward to, and you don't get many to play in, but you know when it's there.
The fans will be ready. The players figure to be at their best. It has all the makings of a classic matchup. For the Big Ten Ticket, I'm Dave Llewellyn.
These 2 teams have only played against each other 4 times, and Bo never had a chance to coach against them or coach against Paterno. But Bo will join me live, and we'll talk about this football game, Paterno, Michigan, Penn State, when we continue live from Beaver Stadium. And welcome back live to Beaver Stadium. Mr. Schembechler joins me as he always does. Let me ask you first about the coaching matchup, because you never got a chance to coach against Paterno, but Lloyd Carr goes against him today. Does he have an advantage, Paterno, because he's been in so many huge games like this that Lloyd hasn't been in? Is there an advantage for Penn State here?
Well, now, I think once you've been in football for 20, 25 years, like Lloyd has, either as a head coach or an assistant, I mean, you can match up against anybody. Joe is a great coach. He's been on the sideline a lot. He's playing in his own stadium. There are some advantages in that. But I don't think it's as great an advantage that it's going to decide the outcome of this game.
Okay, some think they have the better running game. Obviously, with Curtis Enos, maybe some feel he's the best running back in the nation. Do they have an advantage with him, and could he be the difference maker today?
The best unit on the field today is the Michigan defense. It's better than the Penn State offense. It's better than our own offense.
It's better than this guy running the
Penn
ball
State
right here.
defense. It's better than anything out there. The question is, since it's been raining since Thursday, since it's freezing cold, and that field is covered out there, we don't know what's underneath there. Will it negate the tremendous quickness of the Michigan defense? And I think that'll determine the outcome of this game.
Okay, that leads me right into Charles Woodson, who many feel is the best player in the nation, should get some Heisman consideration. Is he less effective? Is that what you're saying as a unit, or is Charles Woodson the guy that can still make a difference in this game regardless of the field conditions?
I think the passing will be very short stuff, which would probably negate him a little bit. And unless they decide to go to the alley-oop to Jaravicius, who's a head taller than any of our secondary backs. Now, I hope they try that in Woodson's area, because I don't think they'll be surprised by his vertical jump. But I don't think the long passing game is going to be a big factor. There is a little bit of wind and it's cold. It's not a passing day here, not at all. Florida State would not want to play. They'd cancel a game if they were up here today. But back here in the Midwest, we have to get ready for to slug it out in the trenches, and that's where the game's going to be decided.
You mentioned the Michigan defense a moment ago. Clearly, though, this has to be, if you look at all the games they've played this year, their biggest challenge. Is not Penn State the best team they played so far?
The best offensive team so far, because they have the most ability to run the ball. With Enos, good blocking line, and tradition of Penn State being a running team. And it'd be much better if you were playing a team that emphasizes the pass today, because they'd have a little problem.
So maybe there shouldn't be a great emphasis on these 2 fifth-year quarterbacks, McQuarrie and Greasy. And Greasy played here a number of years ago and did not play very well. Are we de-emphasizing what they do and just saying if they don't make mistakes, maybe that team will win?
There's the key. You just said it. What they have to do is not make any mistakes. The quarterback that makes the fewest mistakes always gets the ball from center, always gets it to the back that's carrying the ball. And if they're automaticing, checking to get him into the right play, where they have the right blocking combinations. I just think that the quarterbacks are very key, because they handle the ball on every play. The weather's bad. They cannot make mistakes.
With all the players that we've talked to this weekend yesterday, and Lloyd Carr yesterday, players and coaches obviously want to be in games like this and be a part of it. There's something special about this that's different from anything else. But don't you feel different all during the week and different today, and might that play a role in what happens?
Well, I think that from the very beginning of the week, these two teams have been, trying to get ready for this game. They haven't been able to train for this kind of weather. I'm sure we didn't have it back in Ann Arbor. They did not have it here until Thursday. By that time, their Tuesday, Wednesday preparation is over. So that's going to be a key factor. But I'll tell you this, every single one of those players, when the weather's like this, don't take me out, Coach. I don't want to stand on the sideline. I want to go 100% all the time.
Do you worry about players playing in a game of this magnitude afraid so they don't make a mistake rather than playing to make something happen?
That could be, particularly because they're going to caution them about loose balls, fumbles, bad kicks, fielding punts, things like that. Those are all going to be extremely important factors. And they will be a little more cautious. Mark my words.
All right, what would you say to this Michigan team before they hit the field? Lloyd's got to say something. What would you say to them?
I'd say this. First of all, I'd like to win the toss. I'd like to win the toss so I could defer. I want my defense going down on them right away. And the defense is going to be key. We don't want to make a lot of mistakes. Michigan must be able to run the ball. I repeat that. They must be able to run the ball if they're going to win, because you can't totally shut down Penn State. We may control their running game, but we can't completely shut it down.
Okay, we will have more comments from Bo coming up here at the end of the show, but when we come back, a conversation that I had with Jim Herman, the man, the architect who has put this terrific Michigan defense together. That and more when we continue live from Beaver Stadium. And welcome back to Penn State. Well, the Michigan defense leads the nation in a lot of statistical categories. They are terrific, and the players on that defense say they know why.
Everybody just has this incredible desire to get to the ball. You know, if somebody's already made the hit, then the attitude is, well, I want to get there to get my licks in, or to try and get the ball out. And the speed on this defense, that was one of the biggest keys against stopping Minnesota last week with the option. I mean, the speed just killed it.
Michigan's speed has absolutely killed 8 offenses so far. The defense has only allowed 9 second-half points this season and still hasn't been scored upon in the 4th quarter. These players expect to shut people out, and they give much of the credit to their new defensive coordinator.
We have a real good relationship with Coach Herman. I mean, he's the type of coach that's going to let you go out there and play. As long as you go out there and take care of your business, he just lets you go out there and play. And this year we have a much more aggressive defense than we had last year. We do a lot more blitzing. It allows our corners to come up and play man-to-man, and the safety come up and play man-to-man. So that helps us out a lot. Coach Herman has just turned us loose out there, and we're having fun with it.
Charles Woodson and all the defensive guys are saying that about Jim Herman. I had a chance to talk to Jim Herman the other day and began our conversation by asking him about the guys praising him so much.
We have a personality and the personnel on this team to do a lot of different things this year, and as a staff we've put together some things that lets our kids be more aggressive and play together as one, and that's the one thing that we've been able to do, and it's been a great group to work with.
Well, the old adage in football is if you've got a good defense, that defense wins big games and defense wins championships because of your defense. Do you think that gives you an edge against Penn State?
Well, I think if we go in and do the things that we're capable of doing and play the type of defense that we've played all year long, and we tackle and get after Curtis Enos, then we're going to have a chance to win the game, yes.
Charles Woodson said earlier this week, I'm sure you either heard it or saw it, that he is the best college football player in America. Is he?
Well, I think right now he's at the top of his game, and I've been around Michigan for a long time, and I can just tell you the players that I've been around and seen in this league, he is one of the best ones I've ever seen.
Does it bother you that he'd say that? I mean, you know, that's pretty brash, and some people say, oh, no, he shouldn't have done that. Are you concerned at all? Does that bother you that he would make that statement?
It would only bother me if he went out and played sub-Charles Woodson football.
And we certainly don't expect that to happen. Certainly, Jim Herman's defense may be the difference in this football game today. When we come back, we'll take a look at those simplistic Penn State unis and also bring Bo back for some final comments. That and more when we continue live from Penn State. And welcome back to Beaver Stadium. You know, Penn State's uniforms are about as simplistic as any in the country. Some say they're boring, some say they're bland, some say they're too traditional, some like them, some don't. Well, Dave Llewellyn says they certainly fit the image of head coach Joe Paterno.
Michigan's helmet is immediately recognizable. It is as distinctive as any in college football. By contrast, Penn State's look, its headgear and uniform, is about as plain as it gets.
It's just two colors. That's it. I think recently they just added the stickers. I think it was my freshman or sophomore year on the front of the helmet that say Penn State. That was the only change that I know of since I've been here, other than a couple of swooshes. But yeah, right. That's way out of our control. Aside from the small helmet sticker, the school isn't identified. The players' names aren't displayed on the back of their jerseys. It's the way Joe Paterno wants it, and it's a look Penn State players come to appreciate.
It symbolizes a tradition we have here at Penn State, you know, with the names on the back of your jersey and you know, the black shoes and you know, the plain uniforms is really what we're about. You know, we like to not be so flashy all the time, just get the job done in the field. And you know, a lot of people say we're slow, or you know, we look slow because of the black shoes or anything, or you know, we're a hard-nosed football team. We're not very fancy, or you know, we're not like Florida State, who really does it with a lot of flash. But you know, I think when you're Penn State, one thing you got to look at is, you know, the win and losses, and you know, they'll rank up there with anyone in the country when it comes to that.
Your name's not even on the thing. No. Does that bother you guys at all? Would you like to have your names on the back of your jerseys? No? Because then when you mess up, no one knows who you are. That's a good point. Maybe even coach, huh? Yeah.
The only change to the jersey in recent years has been the addition of the white border around the neck and sleeves, and that logo that seems to be everywhere in sports these days. As it is in Ann Arbor, tradition here is a big deal, and this uniform certainly makes that statement. At Beaver Stadium, I'm Dave Llewellyn for the Big Ten Ticket.
All right, ABC's #1 announcing crew, of course, is here for this big game today. That means Keith Jackson and Bob Griese, and you know the story. Griese, of course, the father of Michigan quarterback Brian Griese. Now, Penn State quarterback Mike McQueary was asked if he would like it if his dad was in the booth analyzing him and this game. Listen.
That'd be a disaster, I tell you that. You know, I've always been marveled at how Mr. Griese can be. You know, when you listen to him, he really is unbiased, and you know, if you had my dad up there, you know, I tell you what, it'd be pretty bad. That'd be pretty funny.
He's certainly pretty honest, and I like his attitude, and they've never lost a game in which he started, but he's only started this year, so that's a meaningless stat. You know, before every big game, sometimes players say things that they shouldn't. I haven't asked you about Woodson's statement that he's the best college football player in America, and you know the Penn State guys have heard that. Does that have an effect on a game, or do we make too much of it in the media?
I think you make too much.
I knew you'd say that.
No, you really do. And he didn't talk about his team. He talked about himself.
Well.
You know? And he knows himself better than anyone else. And I don't see too many people arguing with him right now.
No, I don't either. All right. I know it's hard to nail you down on an exact prediction, but I'm going to try anyway. Give me a score and give me a feeling of what you think's going to happen.
One of the things we didn't mention
is
it's cold, and it looks like the wind's kicking up a little bit, which is going to be a big factor. And I'm sure that Keith and Bob will talk about that a lot during the game, because whoever's got the wind's got a great advantage.
Okay, now give me a winner.
The winner is going to, well, how would I ever go against Michigan? I believe that the Michigan defense will prevail today. And if it does, then Michigan will win. However, the Michigan offense must move the football. We cannot win on defense alone. The defense will give us a chance to win. The offense has got to win it for us.
Okay, we'll find out about 3.5 hours from now when they kick off here at Beaver Stadium. Behind us here, that's the Big Ten ticket. Live from Penn State, I'm Don Shane for Bo Schembechler. Thank you all for joining us. We've got a football game coming up next, and then, of course, Michigan and Penn State at 3:30. All of it right here on Channel 7. Enjoy the football game.